Most sales reps think that objections happen because they didn't pitch well enough. That's actually wrong. Objections happen because of the questions we didn't ask early in the call. You're getting objections at the end of your calls because you're not asking the right questions at the beginning. And when those objections hit, we freeze. We don't know what to do. And we end up losing a deal. So give me just 8 minutes. I'm going to delete that fear completely. I'm Kristen Connor, and I went from teaching 7th grade to closing 7-figure deals with some of the world's largest tech companies. I've created systems for how to make enterprise sales repeatable. And because teaching is my superpower, I don't just know how to sell. I know how to teach others how to do it. In this video, I'm going to show you the 4 sales questions that eliminate objections before they even happen. And these are not generic questions. These are strategic questions that give you control of the conversation and make closing not feel like closing at all. They just feel like the next logical step in the buyer getting what they want. So here's what we're covering. The current state question to help us understand where they are now. The priority question to uncover why this matters. The understanding question so we discover what no one else knows. And the impact question where we connect that pain to real consequences. I'll show you exactly why each one works and where to use it in the call. By the end, you'll know how to ask the questions that make objections disappear. The current state question. What's your opinion on why this problem I solve is happening? You need to understand their current process before you can show them a better way. For example, if your car breaks down and leaves you stranded on the side of the road, it could be a number of things. You could be out of gas. You could need a new battery. The car could be overheating. Could be something else. In B2B companies, everyone has an opinion on why what is happening is happening. I guarantee you there's a dynamic in your company that you have an opinion on why that problem is happening. So everyone has an opinion that they love to share. And when you know more of the cause, then you can help suggest the solution, right? If the car is overheating, you don't want to pitch a new battery. Here's why this works. Asking someone about their opinion gets them talking about their day-to-day without putting them on the defensive. It doesn't feel like selling. You're just asking an opinion. You're listening and learning. We want to use this question early in a discovery or demo, right after we present our point of view, and certainly before we pitch anything. In a real deal, I asked a VP of sales why he thought his team's close rates were way down. And he disclosed that marketing had a riff and laid off all the SDRs. So his team had no pipeline, and they were out prospecting, so they weren't focusing on closing deals. If I had not asked that question, I could have completely derailed the call by asking about discovery or how they were de-risking deals. Instead, we talked about how his AEs could be effective at prospecting and have more time and attention to focus on closing. Understanding why the problem is happening is crucial. Number 2, here's the priority question. This pain has probably been a problem for a while. What's causing the business to prioritize it now? A couple of other ways this sounds in real life. Hey, what prompted the priority shuffle? Or, one of my favorites, how are you thinking about this problem differently than you did last year? The first one was the current state question. We want to figure out what it is that's not working. The priority question tells us why it matters. So in our earlier example, if our car breaks down on the side of the road and it keeps us from getting the kids or the dogs to daycare, that is a problem. That will create some pain in our lives. Pain creates urgency. If we don't feel pain, most of the time we as humans don't change. And this question forces them to articulate what the pain is in their own words. We want to ask this question right after they talk about their current state. But again, before we pitch anything, don't let them gloss over the struggle here. Really coax it out. Another story from one of my deals, when I was selling to school districts, one of the districts bought my product because their applicant tracking system was so bad, they were losing candidates. They could see applications drop as people went along in the process. So it's hard enough for school districts to find enough good teachers. They did not need their technology getting in the way. They had hated that applicant tracking system for a long time, but losing 21% of their candidates out of the funnel before they ever filled out or completed the application process, that was the priority. Number 3 is the understanding question. What's something about this problem that others you've shared it with don't seem to really understand? This one comes from my friend Nate Nazarella, and it is an absolute gem. Here's why this works. Lots of us as reps, let's be honest, we give really terrible canned demos sometimes. We go on autopilot, out of habit, and we never really validate what we're showing is going to actually fix a client's problem or help them accomplish the thing at the top of their priority list. Sometimes we spend a bunch of time on absolutely meaningless features that leave us very little time in the end to go in depth on what means the most to this specific buyer. I can tell you as a buyer, having sat on the other end of those demos, that kind of experience leaves a buyer feeling very frustrated and very misunderstood. We want to ask this understanding question right after they describe why this problem is a priority, because this is what helps them go deep. Remember I said kind of coax it out of them? This is how. The more we truly understand their problem, the more differentiated our demo or our pitch or our contract terms, or ideally all three, will be. Here's an in real life story. One buyer I worked with wanted to use our data and analytics product to get visibility on where his contractor jobs were losing money. But he got frustrated during the demo and he said, what you guys don't seem to understand is these dashboards look great, but our data isn't ready for this. Rather than glossing over his objection, I ended up connecting him with a services partner who actually helped him get his data ready. If I would have asked that understanding question earlier, that objection around we are not ready or it's not the right time wouldn't have come up. Luckily, I was able to salvage that deal. It would have been so much better if I just would have asked the understanding question to begin with. Last question is the math impact question. How this actually sounds in real life is saying just really transparently, hey, let's walk through this like a math problem. And the M in math is metric. What metric are you using to measure this? So in your buyer's world, it might be revenue, it might churn, headcount, spend, margin, whatever the common metric in the industry or by persona is. The A in math is actual. Asking the buyer, hey, what are you actually hitting of that metric right now? Is it 5.1 million in revenue? Is it 18.4% margin or 7.9% churn? The T in math is target. Asking the buyer, hey, what's your target or ideal or your goal for that metric? Is it 11 million in revenue, 21% margin, 3% churn? And here's the kicker on this one. It can't just be, we just want to get better. A good question here, especially in B2B, is, hey, are we talking millions or tens of millions? Are we talking 6% better or 26% better? And if you can't get much out of them, if they're just talking about efficiency and they say efficiency is our goal, but they don't give you any metrics, another question to go a bit deeper here is saying, okay, if the team gets more efficient, what will they spend their time doing? And why does that matter? And then the H of the math equation is holding you back. Hey, what's holding your team back from hitting that target right now? So this question is a bridge between pain and value, because pain without impact is just complaining, but impact means it is a business problem, a priority that needs to be solved. Asking the question in this math format is a really easy, memorable way for us to quickly quantify the level of pain or the type of priority this is. We want to use this question immediately after they talk about the pain or admit that they have the pain. We want to help them connect the dots between their problems and a real business consequence. One seller I coached had a prospect whose own hiring process was creating $4 million in unexpected cost of hire expenses. When they uncovered that, suddenly her $600,000 solution looked like a bargain. Here's the thing. Objections don't come out of nowhere. They happen because we skip these questions. If we ask the current state question, we start to understand their reality. This helps us avoid the price is too high objection. If we understand the root cause, we can pitch a right-sized solution. If we ask the priority question, we uncover what shifted. This helps us sidestep the objection of now isn't the right time, or we need to think about it. We're really not ready. If we ask the understanding question, that's where we start to know how to really differentiate ourselves. This can keep us from hearing objections like, well, your competitor is cheaper. And if we ask the impact question, we're able to quantify the cost of doing nothing. And this can help us avoid pricing and timing objections. If we ask these 4 questions, objections just don't shrink. They don't surface at all because we've already taken the biggest objection causing issues off the table. So here's an experiment to try. In your next sales call, prioritize these 4 questions. So write them down, use them in this order. and watch what happens to your close rate. Just try this for 1 quarter. Start with your next call and just run this experiment on every call for your next quarter and see what happens to your close rates. Because sales really isn't about overcoming objections. It's about asking the right questions so objections don't come up in the first place. If you want to learn more systems to help enterprise tech sales feel repeatable, check out my coaching program in the description. I work with sellers who close 6, 7, and 8-figure deals who are tired of winging it and they want systems that feel repeatable and sustainable. I'd love to show you how to build that. And we'll see you in the next one.